There continues to be division in our country around policing. Things are particularly tense right now as the nation waits to hear what will happen in the murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, accused of killing George Floyd a year ago next month. And that tension has been exacerbated by other deadly shootings, like the shooting of 20-year-old Daunte Wright in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, where an officer apparently meant to use her taser instead of her gun. She's now been charged with manslaughter. And then we saw a video released in the police shooting of 13-year-old Adam Toledo in Chicago, where the teen appeared to ditch a firearm and was shot just as he turned around and raised his empty hands in the air, all of it happening in a split second. I wrote something on this topic on Facebook that some of you didn't like. It was in response to the shooting of Mr. Wright in Brooklyn Center. I wrote, "If you're not willing to acknowledge when an officer actually did something wrong, no one will listen to your arguments defending officers who didn't. You can blame Mr. Wright all you want, but that officer made a deadly mistake, and she knows it." My comments there were in response to so many of the reactions I see to police shootings. Reactions that seem to scrutinize every action someone took before being shot by police, but conveniently refuse to scrutinize any action taken by the officer. I'll give you a couple examples. This one about Adam Toledo. Poor child, if he had responsible parents, he would have been home at that time of the night and still be alive. Another one. Why is a 13-year-old out on the streets after 11 p.m.? This one about Daunte Wright. Everything that happened is a result of him not complying. Another one. If he had followed orders, nothing would have happened. And look, let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with dissecting their behavior, as long as you're willing to look just as closely at the actions of the officers involved. You guys know by now how I approach stories on policing. I believe fundamentally that policing is a noble and necessary profession, but I also believe it is incredibly difficult, and that as a result of that, mistakes do happen. There are some people who refuse to acknowledge when an officer does something wrong. People who will defend officers under any circumstance, no matter how egregious it may be. And then you turn around and you complain that the other side's expectations are too high. Well, perhaps when you always act as if policing is perfect, then perfection is what the public starts to expect. And no matter what side of this issue you fall on, that is a standard that will never be consistent with reality.